Devoid Wrestling Podcast. Devoid Wrestling Podcast. Devoid Wrestling Podcast. Cast it up, Micah and Derek. Well, get ready for something you will have never wanted to know. You sadly saw it coming, but I guess you should know. Devoid Wrestling Podcast.
Hi, and welcome to the Devoid Wrestling Podcast, everybody. We got two special people right here. We got the wonderful and brilliant people of Good Cop, Bad Cop Wrestling and Visionary Global Media. I mean, they must be brilliant. They had us on their podcast releasing this coming Friday. Please welcome Graham and Matt.
Hey guys, thanks for having us. I just realised my email address is showing on the screen. My school email. We've been talking for like 10 minutes before we even started. As soon as you started talking, I was like, oh, my email's there.
Well, anyone wants to email Graham how to change their history grade, it's right there. So, you two, we ask every guest that we've ever had, these two very important questions. Did OJ do it?
Court of law said he didn't, but...
Actually, quite controversial on this, while you're thinking, Matt. I'm going to sit on the fence. I'm not sure, actually. I think there is a slight bit of doubt, actually. And I know I'm in a massive minority in that one, but I'm not 100% sure. So, yeah, I'm not sure is my answer to that question.
I'll say, according to the letter of the law, he did not, and that is what I'll leave at that for legal reasons and fear of indictment of my own.
And do you guys think that the drink Sunny D, also known as Sunny Delight, is good or bad?
Right, okay. I have two answers to this. Yes and no. Yes, because it makes you incredibly hyper. No, because it makes you incredibly hyper. I have blackout moments from my childhood I can't remember when I was given Sunny Delight.
Wow.
All right.
I've never had Sunny Delight, so I have no idea.
You're not missing
you're an
out.
old man.
I think I'm aware of the product. I just don't have it.
You don't drink
If I'm going to have an orange juice, I'm actually going to have something that's got orange in it, so I'm actually going to go for something more traditional.
Not
I'm going to go something with a bit of pulp in it, perhaps.
Fair enough.
Not sure if you
Good
guys
enough
saw
for Orange
it.
Cassidy, it's good enough for me.
Oh, very good. Very good.
We're having our mistrial pretty soon, within the next coming months. We had a trial about it that I don't want to talk about.
It ended in a mistrial. It ended in a mistrial because I fabricated evidence.
Because I said Sunny D might have rat poison in it. Who's to say?
Okay, all of the bunny quotes right now is a case of like, okay, either he did or he didn't. You can't say for every single word. It doesn't work like that. We isn't friends.
I'm not sure how fast you're supposed to go when you're actually talking. So.
Only on the one word it actually happens.
Okay.
Otherwise, the whole sentence you're saying it for.
Speaking of bad bits done by Matt, he had some pretty hot takes on his most recent podcast, Good Cop, Bad Cop Wrestling 112. Something about Lana, I can't think of it right now. Where he had two hot takes. He doesn't like the whole idea of Daly's Place existing because fans.
I'm not comfortable with fans being admitted back to stadiums at the moment, purely because it's the fastest way of transmitting the infection.
I 100% agree with that very humanitarian opinion. Here is my opinion on that opinion. Daly's Place is an outside arena, and the Thunderdome is an enclosed space. So it is less harmful to be in an outside space than indoors.
May I present my opinion?
Of course.
Is that no matter how you shake it, 500 people in a specific space together is still 500 people in a specific space together.
And I hate to get too political about this sort of stuff, but bearing in mind, I'm going to use the terminology for you Yanks. Soccer, okay, maybe it's like falling fire. Can't takes place with no fans at the moment, and yet it's an outdoor arena, but no fans allowed in because it's too risky still. And that's for a lot shorter period of time than you would have for a wrestling event. I'm still not 100% comfortable with fans being there at wrestling events, outdoors or otherwise. I wasn't particularly comfortable with, at the Performance Center, having NXT rookies surrounding the ring, even behind plexiglass. I wasn't massively comfortable about that. I'll be honest, I'm not 100% comfortable with wrestling happening still, to be pretty honest. But the show has gone on, whether we agree with it or not. I just think that Tony Khan is thinking more about the money coming in. Maybe it's TNT making him do it, I don't know. But either way, they're doing something which I think is a risk they don't really need to take yet. It's just my personal opinion, which I know got me in trouble on a podcast before by me saying that cut people off.
We had one of our unsure moments, or my unsure moment was the Collective, the indie event that happened the previous weekend. Like what came out, and literally within 24 hours of us recording that, there was several wrestlers that came out and positive COVID tests. Certain people got pulled from Ring of Honor events. I haven't heard anything from Impact. I know there's a lot of wrestlers from Impact who are at those events, particularly for Black Label Pro, which I mentioned as well. So, I haven't heard anything from the fan count, but if those people went to that one place and suddenly they all went back to their own, it's not a good. I don't think it is a good idea. Matt, if there was any way I could have gone to that event, I would definitely have gone to that event. Having both of us been the previous year, there was no way. I'm gonna say there's events going on in New Jersey which I could easily get to. There's no way right now. The screen, that's it. I don't mind streaming, but that for me right now, that's going to be it.
Yeah, absolutely. If NXT UK was being in front of a live crowd right now, I wouldn't be going to it. Once the vaccines are out and about, I'll be much more comfortable. But there isn't one, don't care what Russia says, there isn't one which is safe for everyone to have right now. It's just a case it is, unfortunately. It's coming. I have faith that medical science stop doing it without my grandma's annoying me now. It's getting to the stage where I just want that vaccine. And then even every 3 months, I don't give a damn. Once I've got that, I just want to be able to go out there and watch sport properly, be it soccer, hand egg, rugby, wrestling. I want to watch all of my sports safely, and I don't think it's safe at the moment to have fans in. That's why I said what I said at the time, and I stand by my statements.
And the other thing that Matt said that I was like, I don't really mind that, is AEW stars, the example you gave was Wardlow going to independent shows. I don't really mind that because Wardlow isn't being used as a wrestler on Dynamite. He does dark stuff, but like as a wrestler.
I mean, he has a match tonight.
I mean,
in a world title tournament. I mean,
but like, I think that it's nice that wrestlers go to like do their craft. They're independent contractors. They have the right to go wherever they want for whatever promotion they want to make the money that they want.
I hate that term, by the way.
As long as they're independent contractors, though, as long as that's the name of it.
I have an opinion, and as Graham's going to roll his eyes at this, my opinion is if you are signed to a big company, be it WWE, Ring of Honor, AEW, or Impact, you are under contract with that company and only that company. that is my viewpoint of it. I mean, I don't believe that independent contract is what they should call them, to be really honest. I mean, I know that you guys have different things over there with healthcare and all that sort of stuff, and I know, for example, just to do a comparison thing, if you are wait staff in a restaurant, they get an absolute pittance as a basic salary and have to make it up with tips. Ain't like that over here in the UK at all. Probably that we get free healthcare for everybody. We get a basic wage which is actually livable on. we haven't got to live on commission, unless you're an estate agent. But I don't like the term independent contractor because WWE doesn't let their guys go out there and work for other companies. So why are AEW? We've also got more risk of Moxley.
We had this discussion last week,
and we will have
the COVID part from it. If you take out the COVID part, you were still opposed to it.
I'm taking that out of the equation. Moxley's the US champion in Japan, as well as being the AEW champion. If he goes to New Japan, and heaven forbid, touch wood, doesn't happen, he faces Ibushi, for example, for the US title. He falls off of the top rope by accident, can happen, breaks his leg, out for 6 months. Who pays the medical bills? Is it going to be New Japan, or is it going to be AEW, or neither? Who would that fall on?
I think if we're considering the US, I think it would be Jon Moxley.
And that's the point. I have that.
Yeah.
I personally think, in general, the American system on that side of things is flawed. But that's a political statement for another time, and probably 45 needs to be gone for that to happen. But that's my opinion on that. I stand by my statements again. Moxley as the example. I mean, could there be a worse thing than have your big stars go and work for other companies, get injured, and they can't? Well, prime example. I know you're not trying to use it, but Moxley had to isolate because Renee got COVID. Mm-hmm. Took him out of action for Dynamite through no fault of his own. But it happened because of an outside event. It's weird how something so simple can do that. But it can happen.
This is not like it's a new idea, though. Like Ring of Honor, New Japan, there's always been those relationships between different organizations, and it's worked fine for years. And the general consensus is it heightens both products. It raises more awareness for both, gives a mix of matches that you wouldn't ordinarily get. So I'm not quite sure why you're so opposed to it, particularly for indie events as well. Like, obviously, Wardlow wanted to do that. That wasn't somebody saying, hey, look, you got to go there. That was his choice. He wanted to do that. I think that's important, and that's an appreciation of being on the indies as well. I think when you've come up through the ranks like that, you have an appreciation for those fans, and you kind of want to give a little bit back as well. But also, having that chance to have that new match that you wouldn't necessarily get as well. So I think it works perfectly well. It's worked well with lots of organizations. WWE is pretty much the only one that doesn't do it. NWA, Nick Aldis has certainly had matches also as well. Oh, yeah. He's put that title on the line. It all seems to work pretty well. So I think you might be on your own on this one, Matt, and that's the feeling I'm getting.
I think the big argument in pro for this is Thunder Rosa, because I didn't know that Thunder Rosa existed because I thought the NWA was folding, and so it heightens the NWA, it heightens their women's title, it heightens their brand. It's kind of like the fact that AEW actually recognizes other promotions. They recognize that Ricky Starks was the former NWA television champion. Now they're starting, maybe because of legal reasons, they're starting to recognize Moxley and Archer's New Japan history. I mean, Kenny Omega just straight up said that I'm the best in the world because I won the G1. Tanahashi being on that, I think that it elevates the product as a whole, and then individually, companies, wrestlers, because I bet there's a whole segment of people who had no idea who Tanahashi was. And now they're just like, who's this guy saying congrats to Jericho? He must be important. Oh, they had a match? Oh, let me look that up. Oh, he's really good. Oh, he's really good.
Right. That also reminds me about how WWE, in bringing up people's accolades, will talk about New Japan championships. Like, they'll talk about the IWGP tag titles, and they'll talk about the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. And that's, like, the only other company WWE will talk about, like, during the show. Except for that one time where Kurt Angle told Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn that TNA had an opening.
Like,
I still love that. I love that so much.
like I think it's from the days of the territories where Ric Flair would travel to different territories defending the NWA World's title. Having that go, like, he would eke out a win or to go to a draw to build the rematch, because the rematch is always more important to build. It elevated that guy. It elevated Rick. It elevated the title. I think the fact that the NWA Women's Championship being defended on Dynamite is amazing. The only thing with Moxley is I think it's weird that he's AEW's top star and champion, but then he's the US champion. So when he goes over to New Japan, he's not the top. Like, I feel like he should be a bigger deal because he's a world champion in a prominent company, and he is a secondary champion. That's really, like, it's like lower than, to them at least, I think it's lower than like open weight. It's lower than Rev Pro because Moxley's like the fourth person to ever hold it.
Like, think about the other people who have held the title too. Like,
Yeah.
it's not like it's not like the other people who've held it have been like Yoshihashi and Master
Toriano,
Wato. It's been, Cody and Kenny and
Juice.
Juice Robinson and Lance Archer.
Graham's not most well versed on New Japan, unfortunately.
Yeah, luckily I recognise those last few names. I think I've heard of Lance Archer. He sounded familiar.
And I'm just getting into New Japan from my co-host on Talk of the Table. So I'm a little bit out of it, on that side of things, but it's not the first time you see like secondary champions being world champions, though.
Right.
You could just look to within WWE, the prime example. Back when WWE ECW was a thing, back in the mid to late 2000s, you had Christian as the ECW world champion, and yeah, you're not a world champion.
But that was in their own system. Like, that wasn't...
To have a world championship as a secondary championship, though, as well, in your own company, that was mental.
But that's more telling of the company and not the title.
I'll give you that. But okay, take a different example then. Was the World Heavyweight Championship or the WWE Championship the bigger belt?
When Batista held it, it was the more important one.
Why?
Because Batista, that belly button tattoo, man. It's
Right.
Batista's a big deal, and there's a reason that Triple H versus Batista was a big match at Mania. I mean, you guys were there. I mean, Batista's a huge...
And it stunk the place out.
I mean, when Derek and I were watching it, we were marking
the
out...
fans could not have cared less.
But that entrance, though.
I couldn't hear most of it over that bloody motorbike. We were behind it.
I think if you're talking about the World Championship, the World Heavyweight Championship mattering, it really is a matter of, like, when. Because, like, yeah, so what I was saying is that, like, I think they've treated it as a big deal up until the moment that Edge retired in 2011. Like, they treated it as a really big deal, and then they coincidentally put it on Christian and stopped treating it as such a big deal, With Alberto Del Rio versus RVD for the World Heavyweight Championship being the first match on like 40% of the pay-per-views in 2013.
And also Jack Swagger, I know it was before Edge retired, but even so, he was a world champion. Yeah. I mean, Michael Cole even said no one remembers it.
That's fair.
Which is embarrassing.
I at least know when Triple H held it, it was the most important title because Triple H was the most important thing.
Pretty sure you mean when Triple H was handed.
Yeah, he held it. He did lose it for like a week during that Reign of Terror.
I'm so glad this is being video recorded as well. Your expressions are priceless. You can see, I'm just sat back here, I'm like, alright, I can see it's going on in his head. He wants to come back with something, but he's got to make sure he gets the words right perfectly first. How can I say this politely, but to tell you that you're wrong? Go on, Matt.
How to unpick that suitcase of errors. First of all, Triple H didn't win the championship. He was handed it. Every single time he defended the championship, he had Ric Flair help him defend the championship on every occasion until the Chamber when HBK beat him for it. And he had Ric Flair help him regain the championship, Armageddon 2002. He should have lost the title to Booker T because it was originally meant to be given to him. But I can carry on. Do you want me to carry on?
Oh, yeah. No. I never said it was good. I just said they treated it as a big deal. Because anything Triple H does is like gold magic. They think everyone wants to watch it. Which is true.
Amazing.
Yeah, which is true. And still, even when you see a Triple H match, it's always, I didn't know he could still go at like the level he is, even if he's slowed down by like a crap ton. He's still,
To be fair, WrestleMania 34, when him and Stephanie teamed against Angle and Rousey, I still love seeing the moment where, just because of the storytelling in the ring, I did like the way Triple H went up against Rousey one-on-one. That still gives me that little tingle. I'm like, I'm not actually watching this. Come on, Rousey's not going one-on-one Triple H. It happened.
I still remember watching Roadblock, End of the Line, where it was Triple H versus Dean Ambrose for the title.
Was there ever a more pointless match?
It was a pointless match that didn't need to happen, but it was still like, oh, this is surprisingly good.
It was good, but there was also the whole page was completely pointless, unfortunately.
Right.
The guy was a network exclusive and not a pay-per-view, because I certainly wouldn't have paid for that part of trash.
I'm trying to think of a more pointless match, but all I can think of is like the WWE Network exclusive that is Starrcade.
Well, there was Smackville. I think the most pointless match was at Great Balls of Fire, was it? Was it Kurt Hawkins versus Heath Slater? Or what was it? When they were like trying to figure out the aftermath of whatever the heck happened with Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns.
Yeah,
they're just like, crap, go put on a match real quick.
I thought you were gonna say like Braun Strowman versus Sami Zayn in like a 10-minute time limit match.
Oh,
that's what I wanted, a 10-minute match.
No, the most pointless match was Braun Strowman versus Kalisto in the dumpster match, where Braun Strowman lost.
Is there a more pointless match? I can try and rack my brains.
Big Show, no, the Giant versus Hulk Hogan in a and they got their big trucks on the top.
The monster trucks on the roof.
Yeah, the sumo monster truck thing. You gotta.
That was who got pushed off the roof on that one.
Big Show.
Big Show, yeah.
And then he came back and had a match later.
And then he won because of the Yeti.
WWE's nothing like WCW.
WCW. James.
Yeah, how come WCW has not been mentioned more in terms of these pointless matches?
I could point to the Chamber of Horrors match.
Remember the Ambrose Asylum match?
To be fair, that was pretty hardcore when it came down to the actual thumbtacks.
The thumbtacks was hardcore, but it was also really long and slow.
Chris Jericho said that he was proud of that. He helped invent that match, but also talked about Money in the Bank and Stadium Stampede, and it's just like, what are you talking about? Like, why is that even on the list?
Pointless matches. Dean Ambrose versus Brock Lesnar from WrestleMania 32. Pointless. Gives him a chainsaw, doesn't even use it.
It's a sour spot in what's one of my favorite WrestleManias. Which is also a hot take that I have.
You're going to justify that one.
It's just, so for context, when I was watching it, I was...
Drunk?
No, because I'm not old enough for that yet.
Derek's actually never seen alcohol before.
No, legally, I have to say I have not. No, I must have been 16, 17 when that pay-per-view happened. And I was, like, in the between phase of becoming, the sort of goofy mark that I am that just brings up pointless random things that happened in, like, 2005. And, like, an actual wrestling fan who was a child And child me loved Zack Ryder so much. And then when he won the Intercontinental Championship, just my head, though, for the rest of the pay-per-view was, this is awesome. Zack Ryder won the title. What else could I ask for?
It was the only match on the entire card which was actually worth seeing apart from the women's triple threat.
Yeah, the women's triple threat match was good. I turned it off at the main event, though. I didn't watch the main event live.
Yeah, that was a point of main event because we all knew who was winning that one.
No,
Yeah,
but Kalisto versus Ryback. That was...
That wasn't on the main card.
That was on the pre-show, though.
Pre-show doesn't count.
Pre-show totally counts.
No, pay-per-view.
I can't think of anything else that happened there.
At WrestleMania 32?
Yeah.
WrestleMania 32 is actually famous for me actually trending on Twitter as well. I actually trended on Twitter because I called Paddy Power, who is a betting company in Ireland, who were doing live commentary on the event. Actually said, Baron Corbin just won the Battle Royal. Yeah, we haven't heard of him either. To which I then sassed them saying, if you're going to actually comment on it, do your research. And then they started atting at me and tweeting at me, and people started then doing the same sort of thing. At one point, I actually was trending the top 10 in the UK, although it was 4 a.m, so it doesn't really count. It doesn't really count at that point because there's no one awake apart from Milkman and Postman usually. So
when it says on the side, like trending, what did it say? Matt Willis trending?
Matt Attack, I think. I'm not sure.
Oh, Matt, okay.
It'll never trend again. It would never trend again.
When this episode drops, it will. Moving on, from that vicious discussion, there's wrestling this weekend. There's wrestling every day, but especially this weekend, paid wrestling with Hell in a Cell and Bound for Glory.
Mm-hmm.
And currently in this season, which this season is just when Derek and I started predicting, I have the nod on three wins to 2 wins to 1 tie. Because Derek and I tied because...
What was it, SummerSlam?
No, it was... It was because
that?
Bayley and Nikki Cross didn't happen, so Bayley fought Asuka instead.
That's right. That was the only match we were different on,
Yeah.
and it didn't happen. And also, neither of us were right, because Asuka won.
Yeah. So, there's only 4 matches announced at the time of recording for Hell in a Cell.
At one point, when I was doing Matt Attack predictions, I only had 3 matches announced.
Mm-hmm.
By the time the show went live, there was 10 matches on the card. I'm like, what the fuck am I meant to do with this trash? I had 4 guests literally on me, and we're like, what do we talk about? Seriously, we've got no matches to predict. Seriously. So we just ranted. Which is where Talk for Table came from.
So the first match, which should probably be the main event, is Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso in an I Quit Hell in a Cell match for the Universal Championship. Now I think Roman's gonna win because the wrong Uso is gonna say I quit through some sort of recording device. Because still, I don't think Vince knows. I think that he has people tell him who's who. I don't think that he knows.
See, I think Roman Reigns is going to win, but I also think, knowing WWE, that nobody's going to say I quit.
Mm.
I think it's going to end once again in ref stoppage for the 3rd year in a row. And I'm only saying that to be realistic. Please no.
Graham,
It's not the thing I want to happen. It's the thing I know WWE is foaming at the mouth to do.
Right. Anything logical, anyone with a grain of ounce in their brain says Roman's going to win this.
Mm.
This is me we're talking about. Jey Uso is winning.
Oh,
Here we go.
oh God!
Go on. Tell us why it's not going to be Roman.
Why are you saying this?
Jey Uso is winning it.
You
Jimmy's going to screw Roman.
You think Jey Uso, one half of the Usos, is gonna win the Universal Championship?
and then we'll lose it to Otis when he cashes in.
I was going to say, it's not like he'll be champion for long.
Otis will cash in straight away and we'll beat him for it.
Now, do you think...
Easier to beat an Uso than it is to beat Roman, isn't it?
I don't think Vince knows that Otis is the Money in the Bank.
No, Vince loves Otis.
I would like to point out, just your point, Micah, you said that Vince doesn't know which of the Usos is which. Now, granted, it's hard to tell them apart due to their tattoos and everything like that, because they've got matching tattoos. They're twins.
They're also brothers.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. So, but I remind you, John Laurinaitis, the former acting general manager of Monday Night Raw,
And SmackDown.
yeah. He once hired the wrong handicap wrestler.
Well,
Zach Gowen was the person they hired him. He wasn't the one he was meant to hire. Without meaning to sound disrespectful, how many handicap wrestlers are there?
There was one other person I can remember in TNA that wasn't Zach Gowen.
oh, there's the guy. He was in the Casino Battle Royal.
Oh, Dustin something.
Yeah,
It was Dustin.
That's the only one.
The point I'm making is it's not like
Right.
there were hundreds of them.
There's not a lot.
How did he mess this up?
Right.
Now, do you think Otis is going to cash in on Roman, or do you think El Gran Gordo is going to cash in on Drew McIntyre or Randy Orton?
First of all, I love that. I love that one.
So much.
My spirit human is Otis. Otis, do the rich. I love you dearly. No, he's cashing in on Uso, and I'm sticking with that pick. I don't care if Mags calls me out for it again.
Well, I'm going to go with, if I had my 12-year-old with me, I know who he would pick, so I'm going to go with, he's normally pretty good at these predictions. He's a big Roman Reigns fan, so I'm going to say Roman Reigns. I am just wondering, like, Naomi often talked about how the fact that she doesn't really get a push at all. Like, she's been champion before, but she doesn't. Is that the only reason she's there? So Vince can tell who is Jay and who is Jimmy?
That's it. That's it. That's gotta be it, because otherwise he would have released.
I don't know. I'm just throwing thoughts out right now.
She would have been released with everyone else back in like May if that wasn't the case.
That's
No, didn't she win the karaoke competition?
It is a little bit harsh, but then again, the karaoke competition made me want to stop watching wrestling and delete Fox off of my TV. So
besides, Naomi's on Raw now, not on SmackDown.
That's true. That's true.
And she's meant to be joining Retribution board accounts. So
I hope she does. That would be really, or Retribution or her business.
Her business, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was about to say, if Naomi joins
she'd do great with
Retribution, I just don't watch Raw off of principle of I watch a good TV. But, oh, God.
What, 1.8 million viewers isn't good TV?
No. But the next match probably will be good TV. Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton in a Hell in a Cell match for the WWE Championship. Now, I say that Drew McIntyre is going to win because why would you put the title on Randy Orton, who's the most boring wrestler of 2020?
Well, you haven't been watching Raw.
So, you're saying Drew, obviously.
Yes.
Drew McIntyre is who I want to win it, but I do feel Randy's going to win it. Because the money match is Drew winning it back in front of a crowd. Because he should have his big moment. He didn't get at Mania, obviously. All he got was a second match against Big Show, which actually lasted in the Brock Lesnar match. Go figure. But also, Orton versus Edge, the third act, as it were, should be for the title. And it needs to be on Orton for that to happen. Plus, Orton wins Hell in a Cell matches.
I think Drew's gonna win for a couple reasons. The main one is that they've been making a big deal on Raw about this being Drew's first Hell in a Cell match. And also because of how the draft came out, I sort of have this weird theory that I know probably isn't going to happen, but I also think is going to happen because WWE would do it, where Drew's going to lose the title to Sheamus, so that Kofi can win it back.
Explain the Kofi angle.
Because I think Kofi Kingston winning the title was like one of the hottest angles they did in a hot minute.
I cried.
And yeah, absolutely. My whole room, who had never watched wrestling, like cheered so loud when Kofi won.
Ooh, ooh,
Right.
ooh.
And I think they can, if they want to, you know, if they want Raw to feel like a big deal again and get more viewers, they're going to try to find, okay, what's the most recent example of a superstar getting super over? Okay, well, that's Kofi. So let's put the title back on him and give it to Sheamus first, because someone winning the title from Sheamus has always produced a pop, even if it's Roman. Sheamus is a good champion because no one ever wants him to be champion. And so it's amazing when he loses.
A good point. Beatrice got a cheer when he did win the title off of Sheamus, but at the same time, were they pipe cheers?
Yes, but also, even when they piped cheers, you could tell that there were less fans booing when Roman won the title from Sheamus. Just off of principle.
I would say if you want to put the title on somebody that nobody wants to see, then you'd probably go with Shane O'Mac, but that would probably be a better candidate. But anyway, that's different.
At one point...
Now, I am going to say, I am not a big Randy Orton fan. However, as little wrestling as I have been watching, pretty much like you, Micah, I've been watching top 10 highlights, and to be honest, it's because I'm trying to cut down on screen time. Even if it wasn't, I don't watch Raw live. I don't have cable anymore anyway. I wouldn't even if I did. It's too long. I'm not interested in that show. I'll watch highlights at the most on YouTube. 20 minutes is about as much as I can put up with. Randy Orton's been really good, actually. He's for somebody who's not a Randy Orton fan, this has been the most entertaining I've actually seen him certainly for when we've been talking before, Matt. I've been very critical of him. Not found him exciting. Not interested in the storylines. I think he's actually playing a much better role this time. But I still think Drew's going to win this one. I think they're going to keep the title on him for a little bit longer. It's only been 6 months. I think that's probably a little too short. Yes, I think he will lose it at some point, and then they will give him a chance to get it back in front of a crowd. But I don't think it's at this event, to be honest.
I mean, they've brought in, like, from the draft itself, they've brought in some good heels who are going to be, like, really good, fresh matchups for Drew. Like Drew versus AJ as a possibility. I'm really excited for that match. Like, that match would be really good. Like, even like a Drew versus Sheamus now, like, there's story there between those two because they're good pals in real life.
True, but there's also everyone else who's queued. All that main event talent is queued up to have a title match with Drew. I mean, you've got Drew versus AJ. We could have. We've got obviously we've got the Drew versus Keith Lee match that everyone wants to see that finally happen and actually for the title. We all want to see that. Obviously, you've got Strowman's now back on Raw. We want to see that. I dare say they're going to put on Dabba Kato at some point as well. Raw Underground having cancelled, so no point. So that's why he's on the main roster, as it were. I just hope that out of this match in general, it's not the dumpster fire that Randy Orton versus Jeff Hardy's Hell in a Cell match was 2 years ago.
I was neutral about that match. I didn't hate it, but it wasn't like a special match.
It should have been great, and it wasn't.
I think it should have been better than it was.
It should have been a street fight, not Hell in a Cell.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Or it should have been a Hell in a Cell, but like built organically and not at the pay-per-view Hell in a Cell.
That should be WWE's motto. It should be better. It should have been better.
It should have been better, yeah.
To be fair, they've had a few shows this year where it has been surprisingly good.
The pay-per-views have been good. It's just that television has been so crap this year.
There's certain things.
Raw has been so crap this year. SmackDown's been all right.
There's been some okay stuff on Raw.
Right. The Hurt Business is still great. I had hopes for Retribution. I don't anymore. I had hopes for Retribution.
Been buried in one evening by one man. So
I don't know if I would consider it burying until like next week to see what they do with them.
They'll be enjoying catering, as they say.
Well, Mustafa Ali's in it now, so it's inevitable.
Unfortunately. Who Orton beat at Hell in a Cell last year, of course.
It's true.
So the next match is Sasha Banks versus Bayley in a Hell in a Cell match for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Does this feud just feel like it's been going on for like 7 years? Because it has been.
It's been built beautifully. Problem is, it's built at the wrong time. This should be WrestleMania main event quality. My personal feeling is Bayley goes over here with Sasha getting injured, so Sasha can come back, win the Rumble, and go on to WrestleMania. But Hell in a Cell feels like it should be the end of the feud, but it won't be.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Bayley comes out of this one.
I agree, and I think it's going to be a squash.
Squash?
Not in like the typical like Braun Strowman comes out and like does a couple moves. I mean in the way of Bayley is going to maim Sasha Banks and not let her get anything in. Like chairs, kendo sticks, Hell in a Cell. Bayley is going to ensure that Sasha's going to be out for a while. And I don't think the match won't be... I think it'll be an ankle. Is what I think. I think it'll be more of an ankle than a match.
If that's the case, that's fine.
Yeah, I agree. It's fine. Bayley's still going to come out on top. She's going to hold the title.
If we could do a 2-day WrestleMania again, they should have them headline one of the nights.
Yeah. WrestleMania, or even if they bring Evolution back. That's the perfect main event for Evolution.
Oh, beautiful idea. Beautiful idea.
Yeah.
I'm so torn on this one. Trying to pick. I could easily make case. You could pick one for me, and I could easily make a case. So it actually makes me think. Then I'm not going to. I'm going to make the point that you made earlier. How about we have the match that doesn't have a result, and that would also keep the storyline going as well. So I'll pick this match to actually have no clear winner. So we'll go with that one. I can't call this. I could see both storylines working perfectly well. That's so close to call that. Yeah, I'm going to wimp out and I'm going to pick the opposite, just to make sure we don't have a tie.
We should have all of the Hell in a Cell matches end in no contest this year.
Just if that happens, I will get on a plane, your quarantine, and I will beat you.
To be fair, we've never said where we technically live. So,
I'll find you.
And I saved the best for last, of course. Elias versus Jeff Hardy.
To be fair, this will be a good match. They both can go in the ring, and it's a match I'm looking forward to seeing. It's glad it's not inside the cell.
I really think the quality of this match could go either way to the extreme. I think this is either going to be a great match with like really cool storytelling that might build a future story between Elias and Jeff Hardy, or it is going to be a little sloppy because it's a sort of last minute put together match and Jeff Hardy and Elias haven't really worked together all that much. And I don't like heel Elias, so
we saw Elias at WrestleMania ground, of course. He actually did a bit of a concert, as it were, but on Raw we actually saw how she do a proper. He can really play, rather than just like. I mean, like got a lot of time from that sort of things. However, Jeff Hardy can also play. We know that, and I quite like this dynamic. To be brutally honest, Jeff's obviously the elder statesman in the ring now. Is in his in the Graham area of ages. Elias is certainly younger than I am. It's such a contrast of styles.
Right. That's why I'm not sure if it's going to be good though, because I don't know if the contrast of styles is going to be a contrast that fits together or not.
I hear what you're saying, and I remind you, William Regal versus Chris Jericho in WrestleMania 17 as a prime example.
Yeah.
Contrast of styles. My God, could they work together?
Oh, of course.
So I'm just saying that it could. Not saying it's going to be of that sort of quality of a match, but this will be like a sleeper match. I'll be plenty pleased with it. I see Jeff winning by DQ.
I'm going the opposite. I'm picking Elias. I think Elias is going to win this one. I think Jeff Hardy will put his younger opponent over. I think that's the way it's going to go. A real shame when you got talent like Elias and you've got no fans there, because that's his bread and butter. That's what he plays to. Wherever you go, you're trying to think of, all right, which sports team is he going to insult? What characteristic of the people from this area is he going to pick on? And he does it beautifully. You can't really do that with the situation you're in right now. So that's a real shame for him. That really is the big part of his character. But no, I can't see. I think you're wrong on this. This is the one I'm most confident on of all the matches we've picked so far. I think Elias wins this one.
I actually also think Jeff Hardy's going to win by DQ because Elias is going to hit Jeff Hardy with the guitar right in the middle of the ring to remind you that this is heel Elias. we're talking about here.
Elias is so good, as Graham was saying, about playing off the crowd. A prime example of that, Graham actually used it as a devil's advocate on Good Cop, Bad Cop once. Liverpool, the football club me and Graham both support, soccer to you Americans, had...
I thought you meant the NFL. Thank you. My
Yeah,
dumb
I was
American
confused. I was
brain
like,
didn't
who's
handle
Liverpool?
that. Didn't handle that lingo.
Sorry, please continue.
As I was saying...
They did pick up, Matt, from listening to the podcast, the perfect place to make fun and mock you, though. You picked up that one perfectly. That was great. I was sitting back on that one. I was like, I've done these ones before. That was perfect timing. That was great. Carry on, Matt.
I shall continue. Right. Yes. Elias came out in Liverpool the week after they lost the championship by 1 point. Came out in Liverpool in a Manchester City shirt who had pipped them to the championship. Toxic heat. He didn't have to say a word. He just came out in the shirt. That is how you do it. And Graham had me defend that. I'm like, I quit after 1 second. I couldn't do that one. I couldn't do it. It was the best heel work I have seen in decades. Possibly the exception of when they went to Insurrection in 2003. When they
He's not very good at math. He's not going to be able to count your fingers like that.
Shut up, Graham. No, it wasn't 2003 because Chris Jericho was doing the highlight reel. He hadn't started in 2002 at that point. He did the highlight reel with Eric Bischoff in Newcastle, and they trashed Bobby Robson. I've never heard heat like that for Jericho. Maybe when Kevin Owens did it once. I think Kevin Owens was pretty good doing it with. Was it with Elias?
It was Kevin Owens and Elias, and it was in I think it was Seattle, and they brought up basketball because they didn't have a basketball team anymore or something.
Very, very.
The Sonics left.
Yeah.
But those two are the best at drawing heat. Always have been, and they always will be.
It's such an easy tactic, and you know it's coming, but it's so effective. So much to the point that Matt, I know you'll know these independent wrestlers, Franco Varga and Jake Hollister, who I've talked about on MGB Wrestling Podcast. And they've got it seems a little bit early to be announcing this, but they've got some tour in England next year. They're going to be appearing in Leeds, and I think it said April or something. So normally they play heel characters, so I've already mentioned the fact that if they get any heckling, they should mention the fact that Manchester United are way better than Leeds. But it's like the easy pop. But it works every time. And the fans buy into it as well, so why not go with it? But yeah, it's so easy to do, but it's so effective, so why wouldn't you do it?
It's pantomime here. It happens so easily.
Yeah.
He's behind you. It's something so simple. But if it's simple, it works. And Elias feeds on that. And with no crowd, it does hurt his character. He can't be a face Elias without a crowd. It's not possible.
So there's a bonus question for Hell in a Cell, but three of us have already kind of answered it. Which the bonus question is, will one of the Hell in a Cell matches end in a DQ or no contest? So, Matt, I think that you're the only one who hasn't answered that one.
I think if that happens, they might actually get people to start to turn off the Thunderdome. And that would be a message.
That would be such a powerful visual.
That would be one hell of a visual.
And then Retribution comes on the screen. It's Retribution messing with the Thunderdome. People aren't actually turning it off. Mustafa Ali is struck again.
They do one of those things where they show like Booker T on one of the screens, and just Mustafa Ali comes in the background and kicks his butt.
All right, and that will end our predictions because we were gonna do Bound for Glory, but this has gone on for so long.
This guy below, as far as I'm looking on my Zoom, he took the hind legs off a donkey. I knew it wouldn't be a problem me having very little prep. Like I said, he can fill time, no problem at all.
Bound for Glory isn't my strong point, but if Jordan Grayson will have that X-Division Championship, then I'm never watching Impact again.
I would have been normally normally, you know, Matt, that although I don't watch WWE, I do make the effort to try and watch Impact. I haven't seen Impact in probably 6 to 8 weeks, unfortunately. The only thing I did see, which was good news, is Deonna Purrazzo confirmed that she signed a long-term deal with Impact. Mm-hmm. So that's great to see. Both her and Jordan Grace used to be at the local indie event that I used to attend before it closed down. So we're certainly big fans of both of those. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why I'm such a big fan of that. Yeah, there's a lot of indie talent that's moved up through Impact, so I kind of like to watch them. Whereas WWE seems to bring them up and then don't do anything with them, and then they move on somewhere else where they're more successful.
Yeah, I was talking to Derek, and I was trying to remember the last time I saw anything from Impact substantially, and it was the Feaster fired where EC3 got fired. He got the fired briefcase when he had already appeared on NXT. So it was like, oh, I wonder who's gonna lose.
Yeah.
That's about when I started watching. I was watching that with my son. I remember watching that one. And yeah, we'd just seen EC3 at an indie event. Actually, I'm wearing the t-shirt. Matt, while I was looking for my Good Bad Wrestle shirt that I couldn't find, I actually found a t-shirt that I bought in the summer that I'd forgotten about. I bought some organizations. So AIW up in Ohio, because that's where my in-laws are from. Yeah, we were supposed to see, Psycho Sid was supposed to be the guest, and he did a no-show as usual. So they hired EC3. He put on a blonde wig, and oh my god, he was signing autographs saying like, "I'm not Sid." And we got a picture. It was absolutely brilliant. Whenever I get the chance to promote it, I keep putting that picture up, and every time I do it, AIW always retweets it as well. Absolutely hilarious. But yeah, we were watching it, and you're like, "This is pointless. We already know the result of this. You know exactly where it's going." But yeah,
they're a fab organization. AIW.
So thank you guys for coming on. We're sorry that this was running long.
It's been fun.
Oh, don't apologise. It's been great fun. I haven't had a good chat about wrestling. I talked with Matt last week, but I've been really starved of chatting. This has been so much fun to do.
This has been a blast.
This was really fun. Plug away.
Oh God! Don't let him plug all his podcasts, or else it'll go on for another hour. You can follow me at MGB Graham. I do the MGB Wrestling podcast with my son 12. We review indie events, mainly from IWTV right now. I'm not really appearing on Good Cop, Bad Cop right now. That's why we had our guests, and you were there for this week's episode as we go in. You can follow us at Good Bad Wrestle. We're on the Visionaries Wrestling Network. Oh, sorry, Visionaries Global Media. They changed their name. Whoops. You can find us on there and all good podcasting platforms, and probably some bad ones as well. Go on, Matt.
Right, you can find me.
Take a deep breath first, and then go ahead. List all of them.
You can find me at the Matt Attack UK, and all the shows I do you can find on Visionaries Global Media at Viz Global Media. Everything from video games to Dungeons and Dragons. If you like that stuff, you may not. If you do, you do. I also produce my other half's gaming podcast called Chris Talks Games. He does an amazing show, and he's way better than me at that.
You're not going to mention Interlag Gossip? You're not going to mention the Matter Chat?
All of my shows are available through Visionary Global Media. It's the best place to go and find out all of it.
Well, thank you two for being here. We're glad that we made this connection. We hope there's many more to come in the future.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely. You guys are a blast to chat with.
But until then, goodbye. I love you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Go on, Matt. Say it.
We're out of here.